No matter which flower you're making out of leather, the first step is the same, and that is that we need to take the leather pieces from your kit and add some plain cool water to them to let the leather soak in the water and get into a state where it goes from being kind of stiff and springy to just very soft and malleable and able to keep the shape that you give it. So these pieces are dry, and I'm showing you with the pieces of the rose, but this is the same for all of them. I've just got a towel here so I don't get my work surface wet. I'm going to lay them out, and in terms of how you wet down this leather, you can do it different ways. You can submerge them in water, you can run the faucet over them, you can use a sponge. The way that I prefer is using a misting spray bottle, kind of like this one, because it sprays just enough at a time and you don't get a lot of extra moisture on there, which means you don't have to wait quite as long for them to firm up again. So I'm going to spray these down, and you will see very quickly that they darken dramatically when dampened. So you can really see if you've missed any spots, which is helpful. So I gave all these pieces a good spray on their smooth side, and now I'm going to turn them all over and do the same thing on the back side, which is the kind of fuzzier side. And once I've done that, what I will do is let them sit for just a minute or two, and just to make sure that there aren't any weird little light spots that show me that I've missed anything. And sometimes you can see those quite quickly, like there's a little bit of a light spot right there, so I'm going to give that another little spray. Particularly with these spray bottles, you may end up kind of giving each side kind of a spray over twice. If you can, you don't want to add more water than absolutely necessary, because once the water is on there and they're very evenly dampened and all of it's soaking in, what needs to happen is you can take your pieces off of whatever damp towel or paper towel that you used, because that will make them dry even slower. I'm going to move this guy and lay them out on a dry surface, and you could lay them out on another piece of paper towel or a dry towel if you want. Right now I've got the smooth side facing up, which is the best way to do this. And now these need to stay and sit until that water has really been absorbed into the core of the leather and they are starting to firm up again and getting to the kind of perfect state for molding. Depending on your humidity, the temperature in the space that you're working in, your airflow, the specific pieces of leather, so many factors. It's hard to say how long this will take. The first time you do it, you'll just need to keep checking the pieces. It could take anywhere from maybe a half hour to a few hours. It just really depends on your specific environment. But you will see, so this is much darker than they were when they were dry. But now right here, I've got some pieces of the same leather that have been sitting for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And you can see that while they are still definitely darker than they were when dry, they are visibly lighter. And what you want to look for as you see them dry is you want to make sure that you're not getting specific spots in individual areas that are drying out completely. If that starts to happen and you see very light areas, you'll want to give it a little bit more water without hopefully over wetting them. But you will want to see the whole thing hopefully evenly lighten up a little bit. To tell if it is ready for forming, the best way to see is to touch your pieces of leather. They should still feel cool to the touch but not actually wet. And the best way to check is just take a petal, whichever one, and pinch it. And if it is still very malleable and easy to move, but it keeps its shape very nicely once you put it in there, it's no longer floppy, it's kind of firmed up a little bit from when it was first wetted down with the water, then you are at the perfect point to start molding.